Welcome back, and today we're playing out the F-117 Nighthawk tour, and I promised you guys that I would start killing airplanes in this thing and that I would go positive, and it took me about 6.5 to 7 hours and all of my sanity in order to complete this, so I hope that you guys enjoy my suffering, because I certainly didn't. The F-117 would be one of the worst planes to fly in RB if it had a gun. And it doesn't have one, so you can tell that this thing is off to a great start. Paired with the fact that it doesn't have countermeasures and compresses quite a decent amount at high speed and isn't particularly good at low speed, you're basically always a free XP piñata that's waiting to be clapped out of the air. People will focus you and you have to treat the stealth with respect. And with stealth I mean playing this like Metal Gear Solid, because if you get spotted, your game is over. Just like this MiG-15 over here, who just got clapped out of the air by my Dutch friend, the Massive Mountain. And if you don't like and subscribe right now, he will do the same thing to you. I just uploaded my new decal to Gaijin, so if you still want to get my old one, be fast, because time is running out and it will disappear shortly. Now before we start going into the meme review of this thing, I want to take a look at the stealth. The stealth is a little bit gimmicky. From some aspects, the stealth is pretty decent. As you can tell, if it goes side on a little bit forward, it's pretty hard to lock. It won't really get picked up at all until about 5.5 kilometers. But keep in mind, this is with the Tunguska, and every radar kind of interacts differently with this plane, as I will show you in a minute. They aren't all created equal. I will only show you about 3 radars in this intro clip right here, because it's not really worth it to show you every vehicle that you can run into. Just keep in mind that every radar will interact with you differently, and of course they don't always need a lock to actually kill you, especially with these Sakhalov's missiles on something like a Tunguska, for example. Keep in mind this thing makes a lot of noise and the engines are pretty smoky, so going high isn't always the best, and going low, while it's a slightly better alternative, won't always save you either because of the noise that it makes, and they will know that there is someone coming. Now a vehicle like the Ocelot, which has heat seekers, the IR masking doesn't really do all that much because you can lock onto them before your radar can. Now in this case, the F-117 is actually so slow that the missile doesn't reach him in time. So that's a little bit lucky. You can tell that the radar picks it up a little bit further. The Ocelot sometimes picks it up at a longer range, sometimes it doesn't. It's a little bit finicky. But keep in mind that the IR slingers can very easily just shoot you out of the air. Because keep in mind, you don't have countermeasures. Now, when you are fighting something like a Tunguska, sure. A Pantsir, however, they will see you off rip. And the second you spawn in, this thing will see you. So if you are thinking about bringing this thing into top tier, I have news for you. Yeah, it's not a fantastic idea. For the radars of planes, it's kind of in the same boat. It depends a little bit of what you run into. But really the only thing you will run into, because you shouldn't up to yourself at all in RB, is the F3H, and the F3H can truly lock you till about 2 kilometers, and sometimes the AIM-7C won't even be able to lock onto you despite the radar being locked onto you. So overall, it's decent stealth against like the primitive radars that you might run into at this BR. But these missiles aren't that great anyway, and you should be able to dodge them. Even with this thing right here, you should be able to dodge them pretty effortlessly anyway. IR missiles are a little bit of a different story. The IR masking doesn't really do that much, and in terms of ground RB, there is 2 ways you can do this. The first one is going high and therefore staying basically out of the 5 kilometer range bubble. Because you're already at 3 to 4 kilometers and then a little bit of horizontal distance as well, you're mostly out of range. Keep in mind that they will still see you, and the issue is that if you bring laser guided bombs, which I kind of recommend if you're trying to shoot at anything or drop on anything that is somewhat mobile, and in ground B, that's essentially everyone that's not an AA, because most AAs like to sit still. The issue here is that the laser target designator can basically only look to the left and right with about 30 degrees, and it can about look straight down a little bit further behind. But that means that you basically are forced to fly straight over people. You can't really bank out and guide in the missile that way. You don't have data link, of course. GPS bombs would solve this issue. The issue is that, again, if they start moving, you're going to get nothing done. So here we laser the guy. It's looking straight behind us now at this point. And we managed to get a nice little double kill. Now what you can do is drop your bombs, turn around, get the safety and laser it in as you're flying away. But keep in mind that due to the angle, this is going to be super finicky. However, it is possible. One thing that is nice about the stealth, however, despite the engines being super loud, when you spawn in, you're not instantly on the radar. So if you want to play it the other way and just dive to the deck instantly and then sneak up on people from behind the trees, you can do so. But if the AAs are looking at the spawn and wait for you to come over that ridgeline, you are very vulnerable, because at the end of the day, well, you are still a Nighthawk. And you are going to die if they manage to see you. And that's why we take the longest lap around the map possible, just so we can get another run in. So I'm looking for targets with my thermal. We find someone, we line up the bomb, and we drop it. There's really not much to it. Keep in mind that the further away you are, the more the 30 degrees is. And keep in mind that if you go too steep, this plane won't even allow you to drop the bombs, which is especially annoying when trying to bomb other planes. Because, well, flying straight is not always completely feasible. So we line up the bomb, it's gonna fall directly in front of him, and it's a 2S-38. Bomb does a nice little backflip, and it sends him back to the Shadow Realm. And after that, we do another lap after landing, and we are gonna go for our next bombing target. And we see him right there, he's in front of our SPAA, so I decide to help out my friendly. But then the missiles come in, and these are IR missiles, that's an Ocelot. I dodge some of the missiles, and we end up doing quite okay. I'm trying to lock onto that guy there to help out my teammate. But, you know, because of the laser designator's inability to look left and right, we don't end up helping him, and we miss out on the kill. And then we, of course, go back to the runway. And on the way back, we get intercepted by a MiG-15. And the MiG-15 is gonna chase us around because people see the F-117 and think to themselves, well, this is the freest kill I'm ever going to get. And they are completely correct, because this thing, while hardly being airworthy, even if it had a gun, it'd still be useless. It doesn't have one. Dying to the bomb takes a little bit of skill from them to fly into it, and I really like using the ridge lines. Now I have a 3-second delay here, and we like dropping it on the ridges of mountains. And yes, this is a mountain. We go up over the mountain, we pull back down a little bit, so he pulls into it, he peels off last second, but he manages to get hit critically. Now, it didn't actually damage him too badly. We went into the replay just to check how badly damaged he was, and the only reason he died right there is because he just rolled into the ground completely unprovoked. So thank you Gaijin gods for that one, and then I'm gonna be a hypocrite for once and drop bombs on the ground units to finish the game prematurely, because I was trying my absolute damn hardest to not die in this thing and actually win some games. Now, as you saw at the start, the 27% win rate or whatever the hell it was, I wasn't having a great time. I was absolutely losing my sanity in this thing. For more reasons than just one. Right here, we get focused down by a MiG-15 bis-ish. Again, because MiGs really like shooting this thing, and I get it. We aren't faster than them. We are similar-ish speed, so if you run away from them, it takes quite a little bit. And the main reason why it's so frustrating, I'm not sure if this is scope or if they changed something, but the splash range on these bombs really doesn't feel that great, and you really have to get these things extremely close to people in order to do enough damage. Very often you end up getting hits. I've managed to hit the same guy with 2 bombs, I managed to get 2 crits, and I didn't record a lot of the gameplay because I was absolutely molding my ass off, and I simply forgot to press the start recording button. So a lot of my recordings basically ended, or rather they started, the second I pressed it, thinking it was the end. So I was a little bit pissed about that, but luckily I only missed a few crits, a few hits, as well as some runway bombs. So we ended up not missing all too much in terms of the content. We drop a bomb here, and it's pretty close, but not close enough, and all we do is get a hit. Now he peels off for a little bit here, and he gives me just enough room to get back to a friendly. I don't do anything to him anymore, and I don't even remember what happened. This is one of the 7 hours of gameplay. Then we merge with a Venom. Absolutely fantastic. Now I'm gonna try to keep him somewhat close, because at this point, this is like 6 hours in, just for reference. I am absolutely unhinged, and I almost get beamed from like 1.4 kilometers there. I would have absolutely lost it if that had killed me, but he's getting pretty close. Now, I'm trying to keep him somewhat in front of me, so that he goes for me and not for the A5. At this point, I'm deranged enough to the point where I'm willing to sacrifice my asshole in order to potentially get a kill with these things. Now, I'm diving away. I see some ridge lines here that I can use. And we wait till he gets to about 900 meters, and then we just dump the bomb on the ridge as we pull up. And at this point, I learned from my mistake, so I know that I have to pull down a little bit. So we go to the left and right, and we pull up still, and we get a hit, and I think to myself, I'm about to break my entire setup. And then he bails out. He actually bails out. Thank you very much, Mr. Matty89. If you have thought it was funny, or if your cables were dead, I don't know what the reason was, but I'll take it any day of the week, because we are about to get a whole ass 2 kills in a singular game. And you know where we go after killing someone, and the reason that I'm wrapping around so much is because I'm headed for the runway. Is this scummy? Yeah, definitely. This is not a gameplay loop that I would promote, and it hardly works out ever. But, you know, it does work sometimes, and this is the reason I carry laser-guided bombs. So we lock him up, and I know that he's about to repair, so I'm trying to keep an open mind here, and as I'm doing that, he starts rolling. So we lock onto him, but we still have a 3-second delay, because guess what? We also use it for people on our 6, and this is a bit of a double-edged sword. With the 3-second delay, you can bomb people on your 6. With the 3-second delay on the runway, it's very likely that if you bomb someone, they end up bailing out or doing something just so you won't get the kill. We drop it in front of him and it explodes directly next to him. Thank you very much, Saab105. I thought it was an R28. I'm sorry for the disrespect. We're also talking shit in the chat because, well, we're flying the Nighthawk 2. I could not contain myself. And here we go. Now it's the IL-28. Everything was mashing together for me because I am brain rotted to the max. You can probably hear it in my voice. It's yeah, it's not going well with me mentally. I'll try to do the SU-34 for tomorrow, but at this point I can't even promise you anymore. Now we have this guy locked up, and again we need to prepare to where he is going to be. Now we are pretty far away, and because we drop from such a high altitude, because going on the deck is absolutely suicide, it means that your bombs are in the air for quite a long time. About 25 to 30 seconds is not very uncommon, so you do have to account for that. Now I know that he is going to be rolling in a sec, so I want to line up at the runway a little bit more, because the laser designator of course isn't able to always correct, and I wanted to give myself a little bit more time so I know that he's actually going to respawn. Now there's a Saab-105 taking off, my bomb will never reach him in time. We have 22 seconds left, he probably has about 10 seconds left to rearm. So I'm gonna aim it where he is right now, just so it falls next to him roughly if he respawns and I can still re-guide it in. So I'm waiting for him to respawn, and the second he does, I'm gonna put it basically where I was, just a little bit in front, and we just wait for the bomb to get to him. Now we still have a second to go, drops directly underneath him, and we get another kill. And just like that, we are now a fighter ace in the F-117, because we got over 5 kills, which obviously means that we are an ace, right? Goddamn, this thing wanted to cut my balls off, but we managed to kinda do it. We get another funny kill on the runway, and that's gonna be all she wrote for today's video. This thing, people see you, you're dead. You really have to play this thing like a stealth plane, and in air RB, with the name spotting going on, it's absolutely helpless. Now yes, I managed to go positive. It's not without trickery, scummery, ratness, and overall just abusing everything under the sun. But I did promise I was gonna go positive, and about 3 hours in I almost gave up. I was like 5 kills down, and then someone built out next to me for no reason, gave me a kill. I got 2 kills in 1 game, and then it slowly came back. I started gaining a little bit of sanity, and I'm a man of my word, so even though my sanity is now gone, I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.